Hello. Don't worry, this isn't a throwback to the 80s. I've been out with the youngest and got covered in all manner of goodness knows what's. So I had to go and have an emergency clean and then got stuck under the sprinkler when I was trying to get the tomatoes watered that have been not watered for about the past 3 days. So there'll be no tomatoes this summer, but I've got slightly frizzy hair. Anyway, came in to try and sort out the MRI that's not the MRI for the appointment that's not the appointment. So you can imagine my joy when I see that Wes Streeting's boasting that he's made 4.2 million extra doctors, consultants, surgeons appointments. I'm like, where, Wes? We need evidence of this. We can't just say this number. We can't just go, this is what I've done. We need to see it, because I know a lot of people on this channel that talk to me on a regular basis about having hip operations cancelled, back operations cancelled, knee operations cancelled. The worst one the other week was right in the middle of dialysis. So I'm having people coming to me telling me every single day about appointments that they're having cancelled or can't get. And you're saying that 4.2 million extra appointments have been made. I'd like to know where. Where are these appointments? Because they are nowhere within me and my friends on this channel. So in terms of my appointment for my eldest, as you know, we're waiting for a doctor's letter so that we can get an MRI scan in a private clinic, because we would have to wait 4 months to get into the pain clinic, and then once we've been into the pain clinic we then get referred to the MRI. So you know the days when your doctor used to say you need an MRI, they don't do that anymore. You now have to go to a clinic to go to a clinic to go to a clinic to get what you need. So we're looking at nearly a year, which is why we decided that we were going to go private on this, and the company health insurance were going to pay. But then, as you know, AXA axed the company health insurance for who we wanted to see, so we couldn't see that, so we had to see who they wanted to see. And now we're waiting for a letter from the GP so that we can go and see who they want us to go and see, and the letter from the GP hasn't materialised because of course they're busy, because there aren't enough staff to go around. And it's not really the GP's fault, but here we are with the NHS and the private system, neither of them working, and we still don't have an MRI. Yet Wes Streeting says there's 4.2 million appointments, and I really genuinely want to know where. It feels to me like a manipulation of the figures. It feels to me like we're adding clinics in so that we've got a appointment for an appointment for an appointment where you would have just gone in a straight line. So that's the first thing, I think, because since when did we go to the chronic pain clinic or to the musculoskeletal, what's it called, the MSK clinic or something? When did we do that before we had the MRI, which the doctor has said sat in doctor's surgery, you need an MRI? So that's cost saving, isn't it? We're cost saving because we're just sort of like slowing things down a bit so that perhaps we don't have that influx of people needing an MRI, because you don't have an MRI unless you need an MRI, do you? You don't get the doctor turning around and going, oh, you need an MRI, when actually what they're thinking is you need a plaster. You need an MRI because you need an MRI. You don't get a doctor saying, oh, I think you need to go and have an X-ray, instead of going, oh, I'll just take a photo with my phone. You kind of need it because the doctor thinks you need it, because they did 6 years at medical school to be a GP or to be a consultant or to be a surgeon, so that they would know and recognise the signs when you would need a bit further intervention. So they know that, but they have to go sort of like all the different ways to the end of the line. They can't just go in a straight line, because that would make sense, because that would mean that there'll be loads of appointments and there'll be loads of people needing those appointments, and there's not enough capacity for those appointments. So then Labour would go, we failed. So instead what's happening is we've got all of these extra clinics. I think that's what I think is going on. And Wes Streeting's going, there's an extra 4.2 million appointments, but there's not 4.2 million appointments, is there? There's nowhere near that. So I think that's what's happening. I think, that was the other thing as well. How many are being outsourced to private clinics? I wanted to talk about that, because we have not been able to get the appointment for, well, if we can get the MRI this week, we'll be okay, because that was a cancellation. If we can't, we're looking at another 12 weeks. Now, when did that happen? Well, I would say that happened when loads of people on the NHS got outsourced to the private system, which, why shouldn't they? That's fair play. That's fair cop. We've got to get these people seen. We've got to get them better. But I feel like there's a bit of fudging going on. It wouldn't surprise me. That's all the Labour government do. They fudge things. And I think Wes Streeting is the latest one to do it. And he was always one that I held a bit more credibility for. I always thought Wes wasn't as bad as the others. You know, if I was going to have my top list of who I really didn't like in the Labour Party, obviously it's Keir, Ange, Rach, Bridget, Jonathan Brash, Stephen Morgan. Wes was sort of further down the list. Now he's coming right up. And again, it's like I always say to you, you can stats and figures me until you blue in the face. Here's the reality. read the comment section in all of these videos and you'll see the actual people that are waiting for their appointments and the 4.2 million appointments that you've, say, created. Is it going to help all of us? Not that I have 4.2 million subscribers. That would be really nice. We're on 30 odd thousand. But in that 30 odd thousand, which is a big chunk of people, you will find a lot of them who have not had the service that you, Wes Streeting, say that they're having. By the way, please do like and subscribe. I mean, imagine if we were like 4.2 and none of us had an appointment. That would be pie in your face, Wes, but we don't want to do that. So I'm going to carry on trying to send some more emails saying, please, can we have this letter? I'm sorry to bother you. And this is the thing, isn't it? Because you know they're busy. So when I send this email to the doctor's surgery, I know they're busy. I know they've got loads on their plate. And I know that the last thing that they want to be doing is filling in letters for me. But equally, if I don't do it, we're not going to get the appointment, which I don't think we're going to get for this Wednesday now anyway. So then where does that leave us? Well, that leaves us waiting even longer. So you have to sort of keep going, hi, I'm ever so sorry to bother you. I know I emailed you on Wednesday and on Thursday and on Friday, but I just wondered if the doctor had been able to sign the letter for me, because if they have, I can get out of your hair, you won't hear from me again. But I keep having to chase, which makes me feel as though I'm being a bit difficult, and I'm sure they think, oh, it's that one again. But otherwise, how am I going to get from A to B? Anyone? Any good ideas? Who knows? Anyway, that was my little healthcare rant. No, I'm not going to go and watch Glastonbury before anyone says I'm so irritated with them for giving a platform to certain groups that I'm simply not watching it. Not that I really liked it in the first place, if I'm honest. Although Dua Lipa and Elton John and Coldplay the other year were very good. I did like those. But just on principle now, not watching it. And here endeth my slightly frizzy hair, we're not back in the 80s sermon. But it is Sunday after all.